Hello my lovelies, I hope you've had a wonderful week, whatever you've been getting up to. In today's video I am going to be sharing my vintage pattern collection with you. It's part 2 and this week is all about patterns from the 1950s and 60s. I really don't have very many, but I really do love the ones that I have. I decided to include the reproduction patterns because they are simply reproduced from vintage patterns and they're very helpfully resized, because as you know with true vintage patterns there's, you know, it's often very difficult to get the, to get your size, and I have them more as inspiration so that I can develop them or pattern cut from them or copy them. My first pattern is this vintage Vogue. It's V1137. It's got this lovely wiggle dress with a belt, and then this big like duster coat. So it's an evening set. It's really beautiful colours. I love green and black anyway. Really beautiful illustrations are there, and then on the back, going to be able to see, there we are, there's the little line drawings. It's very Marvellous Mrs. Maisel. It's really lovely. I actually do really want to make it, looking at it, but I was much smaller, thinner, trimmer, slimmer when I bought this, because I bought size banding 8 to 14 and Vogue patterns do tend to come up fairly small. And then the next one, which I will have shown you before, is this Butterick B5880, which I have made and I really love. Instructions in this, I would say, are horrendous. I have pattern cut for film, costumes, stage, bridal, bespoke, really sort of bizarre, unusual, one-off things. I've sampled for conceptual designers. I've done a lot over my time, and this one, the instructions for this they gave me a headache. So I had to make up the, I just had to make it up and make it in the way that I thought it should be made. So the next 3 patterns are all from the 1950s, and they're all true vintage. So I don't know if these are particularly in year order, but anyway, so there's this style pattern here with this lovely little blouse, little shirt with this collar's really sweet, isn't it? This sort of little, I don't know what kind of collar you would call that actually. And then the back there, I've got a few style patterns. I really like style patterns. They seem to really work on me. This one, I'm not sure where I got this. I think I've got this from just a vintage, like a thrift shop, like a junk antique shop rather than a charity thrift shop. I haven't even looked in here actually to see if all the patterns are there, but as always the instructions are so wonderful. I don't understand how new patterns can get things so wrong, but how gorgeous. Next lovely pattern is new, and my fabulous friend Hannah Banana, aka Houlihan, she bought this for me from a junk shop. I think it was the same place that I bought this actually, but she bought this recently. I bought that a couple of years ago. It's this lovely dress with a little bolero style over jacket. I just love those instructions. It's a very battered envelope, and I haven't actually taken the pattern out, but I do really love the shape of that dress. I think it's really gorgeous. I have shown you this one before, the McCall's 1530 dragon charmer jacket. I really am so excited about making this, but I just can't decide what fabric to make it in, and I feel like I sort of need to find the right fabric, and because we just can't go out looking, you know, it's so much easier when you can go to somewhere like Gold Hawk Road and just browse all of those fabrics and then find something quite unusual. I want to find maybe some kind of wool brocade that's, you know, or I don't know. Actually, I need to do a little bit of research because I want to do this justice and I want to practice the embroidery, so I may just do that first of all and then we'll see how it goes. I was thinking actually that in a nice velvet it would be really good, but it's a work in progress, this one. The next two patterns are from the very, very early 1960s, and I'm actually wearing one, not that you can particularly see, but I'll insert pictures. These are in these plastic inserts because I've copied out this pattern. So here it is, the style pattern. I had to increase the size of this, and I did deviate ever so slightly because this full skirt version here is cut, so basically 3 panels of fabric are sewn together and then gathered, and I just used the width of the fabric, 2 widths of the fabric, and gathered those. But I have to say, I think the bodice does need a little bit of tweaking sort of around here, but actually I am very swishy dress this. My daughter calls this Marie Antoinette's curtain dress, which I think is very good, and I'm really obsessed with The Great, which is on at the moment. If you haven't seen it, do watch it. It's a little bit but it's very funny and the costume's really beautiful. So I'm really thinking about making a sort of, I think, a history bounding Catherine the Great dress using this as the pattern. And actually the bodice for this, because I tweaked it and got it to a point where, you know, without too many amendments, it was a really good fit. So I'm actually going to take this dress and make like a sloper or a block, as I would call it, as we call it here, to then do lots of other pattern adjustments to. So if you are interested in seeing how I pattern cut, and you know, want to know specific things about pattern cutting, especially if you're taking a commercial pattern and then you're adapting, using that as a block to then adapt, anything like that, I'd be more than happy to share what I know with you. So, you know, little comments below, and I'm happy to film some things along those lines. But this is a really good pattern, and I think if you get a really good fit and flare pattern, which this is, then you can't go wrong. And I definitely am going to be trying this other skirt version. You know, if you come across that one, really worth grabbing, and I got it in a charity shop, I think, for not very much money. This pattern is also another style pattern in these little, just because I think the envelope, yeah, it was, I got this from a charity shop, and it was it had been cut like this, and it was in a sort of cellophane thing, so I've had to put it in here. I did cut this out in calico once a long time ago and tried it on, and it needs tweaking, but I do love their lovely bouffant hairstyles. But a really lovely dress with this wide band and these pleats here, or tucks rather than darts. I think for me, for my shape, because I've got a bit of a tummy, that might be a better fit on me rather than darts. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to make that dress up again and try it on and develop it, because I really love that one as well. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at my small but very loved selection or collection of vintage patterns from the 1950s and 1960s. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, for taking the time out to watch this video. It's been really lovely talking to you as always. Next week I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips for sewing on a budget. So if that's something that you're interested in, do come back on a Thursday. Whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Bye, my lovelies.